Hello, my name is Michael Miebach. I'm the CEO at Mastercard. Today I'm here at the iconic Red Rooster restaurant in Harlem, and I'm joined by Chef Marcus Samuelsson, and we're about to start on a conversation about small business and how small business can get back on their feet and what we all can do to help them.
So Michael, you know our industry, the hospitality industry, has really had lots of challenges during the pandemic, now coming out of the pandemic, and restaurant hospitality, the majorities are small businesses. And even the term small businesses, I sometimes don't feel it's the right term, because for that family, it's their only business. It's everything. Right. So it was already a segment of the market that wasn't really high earning. If you do a great restaurant, maybe you have 8, 9, 10% profitability, then you're doing really, really well. But people are in hospitality for the love of people, for the love of expressing themselves. So it's been a really difficult time.
Let me riff on your point about the small business. So, from our perspective, if we look at all the data, it turns out that small business is in fact the largest employer in the world. So wow. it is a big deal.
I didn't know that.
It is a very big deal. And you would think that, as the global economy would have done a better job in looking after the largest employer in the world, but small businesses have been hardest hit. In the restaurant industry, in other industries, we see that. If you look at some of the data points, we just recently did an analysis in a Mastercard Small Business Performance Index and shows some really interesting data points. One is that small businesses that have closed during the pandemic are 3 times as likely to be closed for the long term versus other businesses that have closed. So hard hit. Big question is, and I'm really curious to hear what you have done, is so once you're facing that, what are you doing? How do you remain agile and nimble and make the most out of a really, really challenging situation?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing for me, was really to overcome the mental shock, right? What's happening and the uncertainty. And then, what we do have in our industry, in most industry, it's a sense of place and community. So I reached back out to the community here in Harlem, saw the need, and then talked to my chef friends, right? I partnered with someone like Jose Andres and joined him at World Central Kitchen. And we were able to feed the community here, the first responder, the food insecure and home insecure population here in Harlem. And again, without being connected to my community, to my 2 communities, right? The community of Harlem and the community of hospitality. And that gave me a sense of purpose. We then had to reshift. What does it mean to be a restaurant during the pandemic? Becoming a community kitchen actually meant that Red Rooster, we've been open for 10 years, almost 10 years, we probably had the most important time during the pandemic than we've ever had before. And I could never have imagined that.
Why is that?
Because we were serving a community that really needed us. We also showed us as a family, extended family, that we can go through almost anything. Right? And that's eventually, we brought 30% of our workforce back, then 50% of our workforce back. We're back to 80% now. And our goal is obviously to bring everybody back. And so I do think we learned a lot, and we showed that we can go through very, very difficult time, and you can't do it alone. That was the other lesson, right? I cannot do anything in the restaurant by myself. I need these 2 communities. I need the community of Harlem, and I need the community of the hospitality industry.
Do you see that in your customers, the people who dine here, who have a good time, who come in? Are those people saying to you, you know what, over the last 18 months, as you helped the community, that's why I'm eating here tonight? Did you get that kind of relationship lasting beyond the pandemic as you come out of it?
Absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt that the level of brand love for the restaurant, whatever you want to call it, really got deepened during these difficult times, right? Because think about what the restaurant is. It's just not a sign on the door. It's filled with people from all sides. So line cooks got jobs, servers kept their jobs. People who are my neighbors came and got food from us, and then eventually they get back to their jobs, and they will never forget that, and I will never forget that, right? So absolutely. But more than anything, it was also the power of us, right? That we can do this. Sitting on the sideline was just not an option. I'm sure that's the same for Mastercard, right? It was all about how do we dive in and provide solutions for our customers.
You notice this hardship in small business. So we are a company that our customers is generally not the small business. Our customer is a bank, is a large retailer. So we have our own sense of community in our industry. So payment companies came together, technology companies together, and say, how can we take your experience and almost systematize that and say, how can we help people that want to do exactly what you do with the right kind of tools? Because part of the reality, certainly for retailers, was you got to have a presence online, and maybe you didn't have one before.
Yeah.
And that's some really encouraging data. And all of this mess that COVID served up for us, there's data points that tell us that more businesses than ever before that are opening now opening as an online with an online presence 3 times as much as before COVID. So there's agility, there's innovation. And I think what the tech industry can do is to put technology to work for good here, as in, how do you get online?
Yeah.
How do you have that presence? Once you're online, how are you staying safe? How do you find new customers? Because you are now online and you just have to look around the 3 blocks around you, but your customers could eventually be found anywhere.
Wow.
All that kind of stuff, put that out, basically affordable, state-of-the-art tools. And that's, I think, where our intersection point lies, other than we both enjoy a lovely food.
Cornbread, yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Have some cornbread, come here.
I was eyeing the cornbread for a while.
Well, I'll tell you what I draw from that. Two things from this, right? I've been doing cooking classes all my life. Very often, I've done it here with customers, Mastercard customers in this room. And very often VIP customers, and we're very grateful when they come in this room to have a great experience. During the pandemic, I couldn't meet my customers in that way. But guess what? I could meet them online. And my first cooking class, I had people sign up from Sao Paulo, Delhi, Connecticut, Stockholm, Los Angeles. And it was like this, like a light bulb, it just changed from it. Like, wow, I can really connect. So we actually took one of our business, our fast casual Street Bird, and we partnered with an online platform. And now we can sell our Street Bird across the country. Right? We couldn't have done that without searching what is that new customer, what is that new way to connect, and through technology, we can now actually expand our business, which we probably wouldn't have done if this wouldn't have happened.
And then when travel comes back, and these people show up in New York or in Miami, where are they going to go? They're going to go to your restaurant. And that's an opportunity for everybody else. So coming back to small, big business, minority-owned small businesses.
Yes.
So this is a really interesting topic, because generally small business not very well served by the financial services community. Access to working capital is a little harder generally for a small business, because records are not available in the same way as they are for large companies, etc. This is particularly pronounced in the world of small business. So I'm curious on what you're seeing in the community to talk to you about, your suppliers, for your own business, and what should we be learning? What has COVID highlighted that we always knew, but now it's really coming to the forefront that uneven playing field is there. So let's talk about minorities.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for bringing it up, because it means a lot. And coming from the position that you're on, both on a personal level, but also as a business leader, right? So I'll tell you 2 stories to answer that. You're talking to someone who came to this country with $300, being African, being African-American at this point, being also an immigrant. So the intersection between dreaming big and knew that I wanted to start a business and how do I get access to the money to start it was always something I had to solve. Right. And dreaming is really important in terms of when you start your business. And Mastercard was actually the first major partner we had to open this restaurant, right? I had the opportunity to work with Mastercard to open Red Rooster. Mastercard put our restaurant in the subways and the Wall Street Journal, so it was high and low. So right away, we got really the sign off.
We should put our conversation out there, maybe.
Yeah, yes. No, but I say that because it really, that level of acknowledgement jumped us ahead to be almost a bigger business than we were before we started, right? So I've been on the other side. I've received that traditional corporate America handshake, and it transforms how you can start a business, right? I say this, and if I look on the other side, so we know that 41% of Black and brown businesses during the pandemic have closed, and they closed forever. And this is a huge, huge, huge problem because traditionally access to institutional money and also generational wealth gap, it's a big, big, big issue. On the encouraging side, I think this combination on the conversation this country we had during last spring with everything that happened with Black Lives Matters and so on, jumped us all to really go like, what can we do to save these businesses, these small businesses? So there's a lot more programs out there right now, which is encouraging. Right. There's a lot more buy-in from Fortune 500 companies, for example, asking these questions, setting up grants, because grants going to be the way out, not loans. Grants is really the way out for these small businesses. So there are encouraging ways where big business, local government programs, nationwide government programs need to see these entrepreneurs and then activate their resources. So these entrepreneurs can say, hey, these are for me. I know there's a path for how I can access this, both from local authority, but also from large businesses. So it's not one answer. It's really like everything else. It's a tapestry that we all have to work together. But the fact that Mastercard is curious, the fact that Mastercard is committed to find solution is so important.
I love your point about seeing, hearing, and feeling what minority-owned small business, small big business is going through. Now, we're 24,000 people in 125 offices around the world, so big footprint, but we're actually quite local because we're in all of these places. We make an effort to understand, although we are a B2B company, we really don't deal with small business directly, but how are we going to be able to help if we don't understand?
Yeah.
So we launched an initiative taking out $500 million, so it's a reasonably big initiative. And said, okay, we're going to support minority and then globally with tools and solutions to kind of recover better after the pandemic. Good example of that is we took $25 million out of that big number and said very specifically small business. So you're going to go and meet them, you're going to go and understand, try to extrapolate from that and say what is needed. Well, tools to be online, affordable tools to be online. Ways to get access to credit in a better way. How do you leverage the data that you have? Because everybody does have data. If there's a way to put it to leverage, so I can get a better credit that otherwise I couldn't. Open banking technology, all sorts of other tech is around to solve for that. So we're putting that behind. And what I'm worried about is when it comes to grants. So I get your point about maybe it shouldn't be a loan.
Yeah.
But a grant is oftentimes philanthropic money. The next crisis comes, where's philanthropic money go to solve the biggest pain point at a given point in time? I think helping small business really needs to be a consistent, deliberate, multi-decade effort.
Yes.
Because otherwise we're going to end up at the same point that we say, hey, it is the largest employer in the world. We still haven't done better enough because the next problem came along. So this is a 5-year commitment that we're making. But it starts off understanding them because otherwise we could be sitting there, here in New York in our office and come out with solutions that really don't make the cut. Now, what do you find? What do you find exciting as you look ahead?
Yeah, first of all, I think this paradigm shift is exciting because there are opportunities out there. And, as a chef, as a leader with a large platform, it's my job to be a mentor, starting different initiatives and where I can support the minority communities here in hospitality, whether that's through a fund or whether that's through creating jobs or whether it's hiring locally. So that could be a mixed bag. So I do feel like, when I find a local baker or ice cream maker here, I'll bring them into the business here right away. I don't wait for that because I know they work, their check it's day to day, week by week. So if I'm waiting 6 months, that business might not be there, right? So it's very important for me, a decision that we can take that day. If I can sign a check, write a check for a small business, then they can improve my business.
I hope you will actually pay with a virtual card versus a check.
There you go.
Much better. Let's not talk about
Yes,
checks.
yeah, okay, let's not talk about check. If I can do that payment in a better way, but I can do it right away, that means that that business can not only do one thing, it's not just the money coming in, it's also they can trade and saying, hey, we work with the Red Rooster, we work with this company already, and they can grow there and build more customers. But I also think another thing that Mastercard is doing that is really important, it's being a big company, but also being part of everyday's life. Right. So for example, Mastercard's in the subway system today, right?
Right.
So that's an emotional connectivity to New York City. Now you're part of New York City on a completely different engagement on day to day for millions of people, right? So that's a place where maybe it's unexpected, but why not, right? And I just think moments like that, when the big company is part of everyday life, now that small business entrepreneur that is dreaming or thinking about an opportunity, they're going to think about Mastercard very early in the conversation, which maybe they wouldn't have done in another way. So sometimes being in unexpected places can really drive your next big customer, because that big corporate customer was also a small business at some point, right?
It was. And, you know, we have the expected place where you would find us is in everybody's wallet.
Yeah.
We try to be in everybody's heart and mind.
That's great.
Now, I just want to come as the last point to an intersection between our businesses. So tonight you have a big event here at Jenny's, which is awesome. That's very good. Presumably your restaurant is full every day because people want to get back out. And I think this getting back out thing, this gives me a lot of optimism as well. So I traveled a bit, saw customers for the first time over the last month or so. And every occasion there was this, humanity kicked back in.
Yeah.
And Zoom, WebEx, you name it, it takes away of that. Yes, it kept us connected when the world was distanced and was forced to be distanced. But it's so good to see that we connect. And I think in those interactions, you can start to see the ingenuity, the collaboration, the ideation, all the fantasy coming back. And what could we do? And I think people say, all right, let's take all the learnings that we have from the last 18 months and do things better. And invariably in every conversation, small business comes up. So that's what I'm excited about.
Nothing beats breaking bread, right?
There you go.
That's it.
On that note, thanks, Marcus.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.